Hello and welcome to Project Phoenix 83, the show where we follow the build of my 1983 Pontiac Firebird and hopefully turn it from a non-running pile into a full-out race car. So these first few episodes are going to be a look back on how I got into the project and where I am with it right now. So it's going to be a lot of still images because the first way I was documenting this build was through images on Facebook. I started an Instagram page. Both of those are at Project Phoenix 83, so you can find those online. And I recently kind of got back into videography. I used to do a little bit of playing around with cameras and things, but for Christmas my wife bought me like a motion gimbal, which is what you're actually kind of watching me with right now, which is pretty cool, and just kind of got me back sparked into it. Ended up buying her a Mac for Christmas, and so I'm now getting into Final Cut Pro and editing videos. So kind of while I was doing that, I was thinking, hey, why don't I convert some of these videos and pictures that I've been taking on my Firebird and turn it into a bit of a web series, web blog. Really, this is for my own usage. If you can learn anything from it or get any entertainment out of it, fantastic. Please contact me using those two methods, Facebook or Instagram, and I can answer any questions you might have and address them in future episodes. I can also do short videos where I literally just answer a couple of questions or show anything specific. If someone wants me to deep dive into a specific part of the car or go over anything, I can also do that. But these main shows or episodes are going to be specifically for documenting my build and my decision making, which is quite important for me because I tend to get carried away on things. Like why am I choosing to build this engine over that engine, or why am I choosing this type of suspension instead of going standard or stock or whatever. And I want to be able to go over these videos in the future and remind myself, oh yeah, that's why I made that decision, or that's why we're going that way. So that's really what these videos are about. Just kind of getting a bit more context around some of the pictures that I've been taking. The pictures are great and all, but they so this episode I'm going to be talking about why I wanted to build a car. So this whole show is around me buying an absolute pile of a car in roadkill fashion and getting it running. Now, and I don't have the skill or the experience of the guys on roadkill, but I kind of want to emulate those guys a little bit and have some fun. And I think that's really what their shows are all about. It's just getting out there and having some fun. So I wanted to just pull the trigger. I didn't want to sit around waiting to find my 69.5 Super B for $1 million that I could never afford anyway. I wanted to just get myself a front engine V8 rear wheel drive sports coupe and just start having fun. So that's what I did. Their shows where they build a car in one show and then go and do something, that's not how I'm going to be doing it. I don't have the skill, the resources or anything to do that. So mine's going to be more of a slow build of this one car. I can do other shows. I also have a Jeep that I have. It's my wife's daily driver, but I've modified a little bit, a bit of a lift on it, that kind of thing. I can go over that project as well. I also have a 2016 Dodge Charger RT track, road and track pack, super track pack, something silly, stupid name, basically a Hemi car. I also have my Ram 1500 Hemi pickup truck, and I can do shows about all of those. The pickup truck doesn't get as much love as anything else. Soon I do want to put some more lighting on it, maybe some exhaust intake, that kind of thing. My Firebird is going to be my main project. The Charger, it's my daily driver, so I don't want to go crazy with it. This orange package is a splitter that I recently installed for that. So that car, I may do some shows about how I clean it. Sounds weird, but kind of a detail addict as well. So if anyone's interested in how to detail cars, I might do a sub show on that one where I detail it and show you some of the tips and tricks on how to detail a daily driver, especially. I mean, there's so many videos out there on how to detail show cars. And I use Adams polishes. There's loads of videos that they put out there, so I'm not really showing you anything that you won't be able to find anywhere else, but you might just be interested in seeing a nice clean Charger RT. I know I do. So so yeah, there's plenty of scope for other videos, spin-off series, that kind of thing, but this show is about my Firebird and how I build it into a race car, essentially. Well, first of all, I'd like to build it for a little bit of drag racing. Here in South Jersey, there's a couple of tracks near me. Atco is the closest quarter-mile drag strip. We also have Millville, New Jersey Motorsport Park. Very, very close. So I don't want to just do drag racing. I'd like to build a car for the track as well. So a bit of a multi-purpose vehicle. I've always been interested in sports cars and building project cars. I used to have a 1995 Toyota MR2 Turbo that I used to race in a Toyota Sprint series over in the UK. I also mechanically restored a 1967 MGB GT, and I've played around with a lot of other cars. My friends have all had cars that we've restored. We used to go to Le Mans every year, and we'd always take some kind of project car with us. Had a few V8s and some classic cars. So always been interested in American cars. Obviously from the UK, American muscle cars is not something we normally get a lot of. So now that I'm living here in New Jersey, I want to take this advantage of buying myself some kind of muscle pony car, whatever. And that's why I was looking for something like this. I was looking around for a while. I planned out, since I moved here, I planned it out. So unfortunately I don't have a garage right now, but that is something that I would like to get. And I'd like to build it custom. All the houses we looked at didn't really have a garage that would be adequate for my purposes. So right now I'm basically doing without, and doing it on my gravel driveway, which is incredibly dangerous and I do not recommend it. But I'm not going to be crawling directly underneath the car or anything like that. I'm just working right from the outside as where I can. I also purchased a pickup truck with a tow package so that eventually I'll be able to tow this car to the track. I used to daily drive my old race cars, and I've got to say that that's something you really want to avoid if possible. You will ruin your daily driver by turning it into a race car, and you will compromise your race car by having it as a daily driver. You can't go all out with a daily driver. I mean, just being pulled over for noise and things like that, it's not worth it. So I recommend, that's why I decided when I moved here I was going to do it properly and build a dedicated race car. What are my skills? I'm actually not a mechanic. I don't have any official background in mechanics or engineering of any kind, really. I am a software engineer. Engineering design is my kind of background, but not really mechanical engineering. I've learned an awful lot from just practicing on cars, working with friends, watching YouTube videos, and obviously reading like Haynes manuals, that kind of thing. So starting off with routine maintenance, going on to exhaust swaps, intakes, and then kind of moving up from there to rebuilding full braking systems, engine rebuilds, that kind of thing. So I've had a lot of experience, but not in American cars, so I'm kind of taking this as an advantage to learn about American cars as well. Actually kind of fairly similar, to be honest. There's not that much, just the fittings tend to be very different. But even this 1983 Firebird is sort of metric for the most part, so kind of in my wheelhouse, which is kind of annoying because I went out and bought all standard sockets, and then I had to go out and rebuy them in metric, so hooray. So my plans for this car are to build it as a race car, and with that comes suspension, steering, the engine, of course, probably going to do some transmission work, but I want to do it in stages. One of the other things that I used to do was to buy a car, modify it, especially visually, and then go ahead and buy wheels and tires to make it look cool, and then I would end up going and racing it, and either I would have built it way beyond my own skill level, which is what happened with my MR2. It was far too powerful for myself. I was learning how to drive, and I had a car that was just far too powerful, far too, twitchy and better in the hands of an experienced driver. So kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit there with that car. So what I want to do with this one is start out slow, just basically get it working, get it restored, put some parts on it, not going for all out speed or anything, but just safety, make sure that all the suspension's new, make sure the bushings are, are good, just make it mechanically reliable and replace parts where it makes sense with racing parts, such as bushings. Maybe not put rubber bushings in, but put poly bushings in. Just little things that where I'm already going to be working on it, I'll just replace it with racing parts. So yeah, that's what my plans are for this car, and I'm going to build it in stages. The first stage is basically, like I say, just going to be a running driving car, take it to quarter mile, take it to Millville, see what's going to go on there, and then basically improve on it as I can. That's the plan. We'll see if that's what happens or not. Wanting to build a race car for a while, just decided to pull the trigger after watching Roadkill and just thinking, let's get out there. On Roadkill, they kind of just get it running, and they normally pick a better car to begin with, so I've got a lot of ways to go before I start driving it. But I wanted that challenge. I wanted to learn everything about the car. I didn't want to buy a car that someone had already modified. I wanted a car that was pretty much standard, and that was so that I could put my own stamp on it and I could put my own effort into it. And also, when it comes to parts, I'm a little bit picky. I like to do the research. I like to spend a little bit extra money here, a little bit extra there. Some people have completely different ideas to me. I like to invest a lot of money in tires and brakes. That's the way I am. Whereas a lot of other people just put all the money in the engine. So I don't want to buy a car that's already had a ton of work done to it. That being said, I'm happy to buy used parts. But again, it'll be the used parts that I want to buy. So that's kind of why I ended up buying a pretty boring car. The main point for me is I don't have an awful lot of welding experience. I do have a Lincoln welder here. Yeah, there we go. I haven't done an awful lot of welding with it, but I do want to learn. So the sheet metal on this, I found a couple of rust spots. I'll get to those in a later episodes, but I will be doing some welding. And actually on this rear end I've done some welding for some tabs for the brake conversion. Again, we'll get to that in a later episode. But for now, I just want to talk about the finding the car, buying the car. So like I said, I just wanted to get it in, just get a car, just get started with something. So I found the car on Facebook. Facebook Marketplace. I was looking on eBay, Craigslist, etc., just looking for any car from 83 that kind of took my fancy, really. So there's a lot of cars to choose from in America, and I really wanted to kind of like nail it down a little bit. So I was looking for a V8 rear-wheel drive from 1983. So obviously immediate thoughts are Camaro, Firebird, Mustang. There's a lot of others, but they're the easiest ones. Now, being the first American muscle car that I got into, I didn't really want to go for something crazy off the wall. Like, I don't even know what else they made in 1983, but I'm not going to go for a 69 Superbird. I mean, that's way beyond my skills and financial level. So I wanted something cheap, fun, and easily modifiable. So first thing I did before I even picked a car was to go online and look at like magazines. So like different companies like Classic Industries, Rock Auto, Summit Racing, Speedway, all these different sites that I've heard from other people. I go on those and I look for the prices of certain things that I know I'm going to be working on, like brakes, suspension, engine components. And you very quickly see that Mustangs and Camaros and Firebirds are incredibly cheap to work on. Like they're just kind of dirt cheap, really. So that was why I kind of went for those. Also, watching other shows like Roadkill, Roadkill Extras, especially recently, someone asked the question to David Freiberger about what cars to kind of get into if you want to get into muscle cars, and he actually said a Pontiac Firebird, which is brilliant. I was looking on Craigslist, on Amazon, eBay, all those websites, Auto Trader, and actually Facebook communities. Facebook Marketplace, or whatever it's called, has a lot of South Jersey racing groups where they sell parts and cars. There's also just regular people selling regular cars, and that's where I found this. And it actually happened to be a race guy who was building a drag car, and he was going to build this into a drag car. The previous owner had started basically refreshing up. I think he rebuilt the engine, but then I guess didn't know how to get it running or whatever, but I bought it as a non-running car. So I bought it for $1,400, which is probably $1,400 way too much. Came with a spare engine, which I'll talk about. Turns out it's a pile of lots of parts with it. They might be useful, but I very much doubt it. It was a small block 350. The car currently has a 305. And that brings us to the end of the first episode. Hopefully the next episodes will be a little bit more interesting. We'll have a few more videos, and as we move on, I'll be showing you actually how I've been doing things, actually working on certain things like this rear end I've got in here. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.